Imagine you just walked out of the stadium, exhausted, still buzzing from what you just watched, and someone with a microphone steps right in front of you, smiling, already pointing a camera toward your face. Today is a speaking practice episode, so this time you actually have to answer out loud in your own words. No sentence is going to be given to you in advance. I'm Alice, and this is English Decoding. Here is how this works. I will describe the scene, and a reporter is going to ask you a question. Then I will stay quiet for a few seconds, so you have real time to answer, out loud, before I give you an example of what you could say. Try to answer before you hear my example, not after. And one more thing before we start. Do not worry about making your answer perfect. A real reporter is not grading your grammar. They just want to hear what you actually think, in the moment, the same way you would answer in your own language, without stopping to plan every word first. Let's start. You just walked out of the stadium, still thinking about that incredible last-minute goal everyone is talking about. A reporter steps in front of you, holds up a microphone, and asks, "How are you feeling right now?" You might say something like, "I am still in shock, honestly. That was one of the best matches I have ever watched in my life." Or, if you want something shorter, you could simply say, "I cannot believe what just happened." The reporter nods and follows up with another question. "What did you think of the team's performance tonight?" You might say something like, "I thought they played really well in the second half, even though the start of the match was a little slow." Now the reporter brings up something a little more controversial, that strange decision from the referee, the one everyone in the stadium was still talking about on the way out. What did you think of that call? You might say something like, "Honestly, I think the referee got that one wrong, but it did not really change how amazing the rest of the match was." Or, if you disagree, you could say, "I actually thought it was the right call, even if nobody around me agreed with me." Next, the reporter asks about what is coming up next. Do you think your team can win the next match? You might say something like, "I really hope so, but the next team is incredibly strong this year, so it is not going to be easy." The reporter glances at their notes and asks something a little more personal. "How long have you been a fan of this team?" You might say something like, "My whole life, honestly. My parents took me to my first match when I was a child." The reporter looks around at the crowd still celebrating nearby and asks, "What was the atmosphere like tonight compared to other matches you have watched?" You might say something like, "Honestly, this was something special. I have never heard a stadium that loud before." One more before our challenge. The reporter asks, "What was it like in the stadium when that goal went in?" You might say something like, "It was absolute chaos. Everyone around me was screaming, and I think I lost my voice." Before the last question, here is your real challenge for today. Pick any one of these questions, the ones about the goal, the result, your prediction, anything, and write your own answer in the comments in English. This is genuinely one of the best ways to practice what we are doing right now, just in writing instead of speaking out loud, and it only takes a minute. All right, for the final question, the reporter smiles and asks something a little more open. "Is there anything you would like to say to the other team's fans tonight?" You might say something like, "That was a great match, and I really respect how your team played tonight. Notice something about that last question. I did not give you much structure at all, just an open question, and that was on purpose." The earlier questions warmed up your brain with a clear topic, something specific to react to. This last one asked you to build something from nothing, which is exactly what real conversations actually require, again and again, every single day, whether you are talking about sport, work, or anything else. And here is something worth remembering. It genuinely does not matter if your sentence was not perfect, or if you paused in the middle, or changed your mind halfway through. A real reporter on the street is not checking your grammar. They are listening for your idea, your opinion, your reaction. That is the entire skill we have been building all week, ever since Monday. Let's try one more round, a little faster this time with shorter scenes, almost like a quick-fire round at the end of the interview. A reporter asks who was the best player on the field tonight in your opinion. You might say something like, "For me, it has to be the goalkeeper. His save in the second half was unbelievable." Another quick one. A reporter asks, "What would you say to the players right now if they could hear you?" You might say something like, "Thank you for an incredible match. You gave us a night we will never forget." One last one. A reporter asks, "Will you be watching the final too?" You might say something like, "Absolutely, I would not miss it for anything." 7 questions, 7 chances to speak without a script. If even half of those answers came out smoothly, that is real progress, not just a small progress, but a real progress. Remember, on Monday, you were only reacting with single short phrases. By today, you were building full, original opinions from nothing under a little bit of real pressure, with a microphone right in front of you. That is genuinely the whole arc of this week. Reacting, then listening, then repeating, then finally speaking freely. Each day built on the one before it, and today was where it all actually paid off. If you struggled with any of these, that is completely normal. Free speaking is always the hardest part for every learner at every level. Tomorrow, we close out this week with a short story, the kind where you just sit back, relax, and let everything we practiced this week come together one last time. No pressure, no microphone, just a story. If today helped you, hit subscribe so you do not miss tomorrow's episode, and you become one of the very first decoders in this community. I'm Alice, see you tomorrow.